can see the enemy hero on the other side of the bank. Come on, Evo. Do not miss this shot. Go for the head. Oh, that's one down. Is there anyone else on the point? Yes. Okay. Steady. Oh, second headshot. Jesus. Can we get the third? Oh, okay. We've pretty much just eliminated the entire enemy team. Hi guys, what is going on? And welcome to Hood, Outlaws and Legends. So, I've been keeping an eye on this game for a couple of months now, and actually gave it a bit of a test during the closed beta. But as that was unfortunately under NDA, I couldn't actually bring you my thoughts on the game as it was back then. But now that the game has actually officially released, I thought it was about time to get stuck into a few games and kind of explain what this game is all about. The game is all about competitive 4v4 PvP heist matches, where teams not only battle against each other, but also against some pretty difficult AI opponents, who, let's face it, have more than once ended my life a little early. In effect though, both teams are going to be competing against each other to break into, steal, transport and evacuate the treasure from the map. But there is only one vault and one treasure chest, so that's where the competitive element against each of the two teams comes in. Initially, the two teams will be starting at pretty much opposite ends of the map, with the initial goal being not only to locate, but steal the vault key from the sheriff. You'll find multiple AI troops along the way. Sometimes these are best just avoided altogether with stealth, as they do put out some pretty brutal damage, but it can be good also to take them on, either through stealth, trying to assassinate them, or you can just use brute force and take them head on. With the key secured, you've now got to find your way and find and unlock the vault. But remember, it's not only the AI you've got to watch out for, although they can be quite a threat as well, but the enemy team are also hunting you down to try and get that key off you, or they're going to try and grab the chest from you as soon as that vault gets unlocked. But with the vault open, it is now time to transport that chest from the vault to the evacuation zone, which can in it of itself be a pretty lengthy process. You'll find you move much slower, and your team will actually need to try and protect you from the enemy 4 players who are trying to steal that chest off you. That can sometimes often result in some pretty decent fights breaking out around the control of the chest before it even makes it to the evacuation zone. But once you actually get the chest to the extraction point, the real work actually begins, as it's going to require 1 or 2 of the 4 players to actually winch away the gold. So now the remaining team is a man or 2 down whilst trying to defend that extraction point. And if you lose control of that extraction point, then the enemy team can come in and start extracting the gold for their own benefit. So it's really important to be able to defend your team and protect that point where you're still winching away that gold. And that's what we were able to do in this game here. We managed to get in while the enemy team was still winching, defeat them, clear the point, and now I'm able to start helping and start winching myself. And as we move that node up, as you can see it counts up, when it gets to that next main node, that means that that little section of gold is secured, and that's secured for our team now to the end of the match. If you are lucky enough to get a really decent team who gets the key, secures the chest, gets it to the extraction point, and then protects you whilst you can winch away that gold, you'll not only get to secure all the nodes for your team, but you should also be able to win the match. It's also worth pointing out that if you use 2 people to winch, it does move quicker, but it leaves you less people to help defend the point. And if you let go of the winch in between one of the nodes, it will unwind and go back to the previous node, undoing all your previous work. The gold that you then earn in these matches can then be spent to unlock new weapons, perks, upgrades for one of the 4 different characters that are available in the game. And these are, of course, Robin Hood. I mean, obviously, it would be a pretty bad Robin Hood game if he wasn't in it, and as you would expect, he's of course an archer. You get Marion, who's really all about the stealth. She makes use of a small little repeating crossbow, smoke bombs, and really focuses on assassinating both AI and enemy players. John is basically the brawler of the group, wielding a big hammer. He has the most hit points, and he's really all about the melee. He's a brawler, a really tough guy to kill, but he really lacks any sort of ranged weapon, so he's really got to get up close and personal to really do any damage. And finally, Took, who is sort of a bit of a ranged melee hybrid, I guess I'd describe him as. He makes use of this sort of flaming ball and chain, but he's basically able to engage in melee, but at long range. I guess this is probably quite a good time then to transition into talking a little bit about the game's visuals, which are, honestly, pretty impressive, with not only the characters looking pretty awesome, but some very large and well built maps being present. It really kind of does help with the game immersion. And yeah, whilst graphics aren't everything, they are certainly pretty impressive in this game. And I actually find it really runs quite smoothly as well on max graphics without being excessively demanding on my system, so it's actually pretty well optimised for a game. But I guess we've talked a lot about what I like about the game, what the game is about and what's enjoyable. But what are the downsides of the game? Where does it go wrong? And I think there are a couple of possible downsides with the game. Firstly, I kind of feel that stealth isn't really a very important part or aspect of the game, and it should really play a larger part. The game isn't really advertised as, or supposed to be, a brawling deathmatch. And, you know, whilst you do occasionally get some really decent stealth moments, by and large, it doesn't really seem to play a very important role or have much use except for really just sort of avoiding the AI. And I'd like to have seen it a little bit integrated, a little bit more, particularly in some of the PvP moments. I'd also say that the game has a very narrow and fixed concept. You know, it has some really great features that are like things like the camp, but they're not really explored much more beyond that of a main menu. And the game really boils down to only the one game mode, heist. So you're ever really going to only be playing that one mode over and over. And whilst there is a lot to explore within the heist mode, I'd like to see a few more game modes and a few more options to try and develop that a little bit more, so that it doesn't get too stale too quickly. And I hope that's something that they sort of actively work on. Hopefully we'll be getting a few more game modes in the future. But with those few problems aside, it does actually make for a really fun game. The length of the matches at around 10 to 20 minutes seems to be pretty much about right for me. There seems to be a good level of hero balance, with each class sort of having its own benefits. And it does actually feel like each can win in a fight if used correctly. You know, I mean, like Robin can one-shot enemies with a fully charged arrow to the head. But it's just not that easy to hit them. So you have the potential, but you actually have to be able to land the shots. The AI themselves actually seem pretty well balanced. They can actually be a pretty genuine threat and actually do quite a good job of sort of holding you up and delaying you and sort of stop you moving so freely around the map and getting in the way without feeling like they're sort of excessively annoying. And actually they can be quite useful if you can actually drag them onto the enemy team. So I guess in conclusion, is the game worth buying? I think if you really like the idea of a competitive PvP sort of semi-stealth game, we use that bit loosely as we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, then I think it kind of seems like a good option. It is, after all, really quite enjoyable, but it is a bit limited in areas, and I think some of the game modes need expanding a little bit more. Although they have said they are continuing to work and develop on the game going forwards, so I think if you're unsure now, it might be worth something revisiting again in a few months to see how development is going, and if they're continuing to build on the game more and more, then I think it's going to be a really solid game that probably is worth getting into. But that is all I have got time for today. I'm going to go and grab my bow now, get my Robin, and get back into game and actually have a few more matches. So thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Do let me know what you think about the game in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for a lot more game reviews and medieval content. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all on the next one.